Hi, this is Jason from DTB Traders. Thank you so much for taking the time out to jump on this video. So over the last few weeks, I've been making significant updates to the DTB system. So these updates are based on feedback generated by users like yourselves, and these features have been added to the strategy. Some have actually been removed to make them more simple. And I'm also trying to maintain the most modern and effective set of tools. So it's an ongoing challenge, it's an ongoing journey for me. And I'm very glad that a lot of you are on the journey with me. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to run through some of the updates that have been made. I'll first show the indicators. Now I'm going to just run through the indicators because some of them have not been updated, but it'll be good just to see a few of them in action. And then I'm actually going to show you the strategies and how we are now able to optimize them a lot more effectively to generate really good results through our back testing. So let me just deactivate this video and I can show you the charts. Okay, perfect. So all the indicators on these charts are basically the default settings, except for a few. First of all, we can look at the indicator list. So since the last video that I made a few months ago now, really, we have added in a few indicators. I think the momentum bars is one. The smoothing average is another. The velocity is another. And I think that is the main ones that we've actually popped in. So anyway, the first chart we're looking at has got the account position, advanced retracement, auto Fibonacci, auto trend, and the breakout box. So what this does is it just draws a beautiful channel on price. You have to just go and modify the settings a little bit to make sure that the channel is, is basically channeling price. So it does automatically adjust, but if you just go into your Fibonacci auto trend, I think those are default settings anyway. But that's basically going to just give you a channel on price, and it's actually going to draw the Fibonacci levels in that channel. So while prices are bouncing in that channel, it's going to give you those levels, and it's just amazing how those levels come into play. The breakout box indicator is going to paint those price breakout points. So that's really good for catching on those trends, or catching on a reversal in price. The little red and green arrows, that is the retracement value. So I've got on a 64 retracement here just because I got a 32.16 bar. So this is just helping me identify price breakout points beyond bar size and the reversals back to them. So really handy on that. The second one is just got a few indicators on. We've got the cash machine, economic news, and the EMA indicator. So the EMA indicator is one of the new additions. It's got a long and a short period values that you can put in, and it's also going to paint these arrows. That's going to show us, so if you're looking at the MACD type of a thing, it's a similar type of a concept. So it's going to show you the price above the zero line, and then it's going to paint these arrows when price does that, and it's going to change the coloring of the bars. So as you can see from 954, we've been in an uptrend ever since. A very small drop below the zero line over there, and it looks like we're heading for another one over here. So that is that indicator, and the other indicator that we're seeing over here is the cash machine. So that is showing significant orders being put into the market. So you're going to notice them spring up like they're doing over there, and that's just extremely high volume of orders being pumped into that market. And then they're gonna basically, they'll stay the side of the bar when that closes to determine, whether it was the buy or sell pressure on that specific bar. Okay, the next set of indicators is this one here is the daily range. So when you apply the daily range, always make sure that your data series is going to accommodate the days on there. So if you've got 30 daily range, if you've got a 30-day there, have at least 40 to 45 days loaded on that specific chart, because if you have less, it's going to say not enough data loaded. And the daily range is basically going to tell you what the price has been doing, or what the range is of that price over all those days. So you can go into your daily range indicator and you can actually select the days that you want to display. So if you want to go 100 or 200, whatever days you want, you can add them in there. Just put a comma in the value. So really powerful indicator, especially when it comes to later in the US session and you're looking at the daily range. It tells you what your room up is, your room down is, and you can quite often tell that is the price going to be going up or down to fulfill the daily range based on where it is. So as an example, if the room up is 100 ticks and the room down is 300 points, then there's a much higher likelihood that the price is going to be rising for the rest of the session, because for them to fulfill the average daily range, they would have to bring the price right down below the low of the day and take the price a lot further, and often they run out of time. So there's a point of no return on most days. So you'll notice that in the afternoon session. So a really cool indicator to look out for. The next set I've got here is the momentum bars, pennants, shadow trading, and pennants. I've put two instances of the pennants just to give me the a shorter and a longer term. Otherwise everything else is basically standard. And what this basically does is it's just going to be drawing little pennants, and it's going to be showing us support and resistance levels, and the shadow trading is going to be giving us these buy and sell arrows, and when they're connected with divergences, just really good little scalping tool too. We've got the brick wall, that's from the momentum bars indicator, that's showing you that serious resistance. Always just position the indicator to the left like this, so that the red line is down the side. Then you know you've got everything positioned correctly on the chart, so that the momentum line is basically in the right location. Okay, the next set of indicators is we've got the shadow trading divergence, the brick wall, and the smoothing average. So smoothing average, we've got some really good type, or that's the stepping type, but we've got the quite a few different options there we can choose, and the value, and also the smoothing type. So that's a really helpful indicator, and it's just going to give you these values, and you're able to basically catch long-term trends and also identify areas of chop like that, where you more than likely will work with the ultimate bands when you see areas of chop like this, but we'll look at that in a sec. So again, it's also showing you divergences, it's showing you the dots, and you can also have audible alerts on those dots, so really handy indicator. The next set of indicators we're going to quickly look at are the strategy line, trade support, and the trend indicators, and the trading lines. So these are all default settings. I think I just changed the sensitivity of the strategy line to 10. It's something that can be optimized in the strategy analyzer, but we can look at that on a future video. Otherwise everything else is basically default settings. Now this group of indicators is going to tell you the overall trend in time. So these values on top here, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, all the way up to day. That's basically the momentum of price, or the trend of price in those periods. So it's got a time period, it's got a tick period, and a volume. So when this is all green, you know the price is rising up. When the red starts creeping in, you know we're going to be dropping in price. But generally, it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that's all green in the trend. Okay, and the next indicator on this chart is the pivot point. So you're going to see those pivot points there, and you're going to see the highs and the lows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, and the close. So it's going to show you the close of 1 day to 5 day, the high of 1 day to 5 day, and the low of 1 day to 5 days. So all of those settings are going to basically be there. All those lines are going to be there. So when the price is moving around, and especially bouncing around these pivot points, and bouncing around the support and resistance levels, we know that those are areas of interest. Of course, you've also got your trade support on here, which is just basically also hugging the price. And these little values you see on the trade support, they are going to be the distance in ticks away from that trade support. So it's just a good little visual representation of where price is, where the support is, and that just gives some really handy information. This is one of the new indicators, the DTB Velocity. So it does have a few settings that can be customized. So the trend following, I've also just put a setting of 22. You can adjust that setting in there. Now the DTB Velocity. So velocity is just basically the absolute velocity of price, and how it is moving, the amount of volume being pumped in, the absolute order flow going into those candles are going to be displayed over here. So we're able to adjust the velocity according to specific beginning times and ending times. So I've put just the default settings in there that I have found to be decent for these sessions. You can definitely go and modify them. And if you really understand velocity and you understand how it works with price, then you'll be able to go and work with those numbers a bit too. But what they're basically going to do is they're going to give you these little dots on the bars, and they are going to be great little points to buy and sell the market based on what price is doing. So, and especially when you have nice little bounces off the trend following coming up again, it's just a high chance that's going to be rising. So we've got all these beautiful little indicators that can produce really outstanding results, and it's just a matter of using them and keep using them. Alright, next one I'll quickly look at is the ultimate bands. So very quickly on this one, I've got two data series. I've got an 8-8 analytical bars, and I've got a 16-16 analytical bars. Both of them are on panel 1. Okay, both data series. But the 16-16, I have made everything transparent. I've made the candle transparent completely, and the bars, the outline of the bars and the bars transparent. So I've done that to the data series. And then what I've done is I've gone and added 2 instances of the ultimate band. So I've applied one instance to the 8-8 and one instance to the 16-16. And I've also got the shadow trading divergence on there. So what that does is going to highlight the 16-16 bar, but only the bands for that bar. So you can also go into the indicator and you can adjust the opacity and the coloring for those bands and for those zones. So the ultimate bands is a really great tool to use. It's going to be showing you price bouncing off these bands with the divergences, incredible scalping opportunities. So definitely play around with that and have a good look at that. Okay, so that's as far as the indicators go. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you the strategies. So the strategies is where the main updates have been taking place. So we've got the Advanced Retracement Strategy. Now before we had the Advanced Retracement Strategy and the strategy line in one strategy. So what I've done now is I've actually separated them just to make it so much simpler. So all the settings will be for the Advanced Retracement Strategy. In the strategy, and the second one, the strategy line, all those settings will be for the strategy line itself. So earlier when I said you can optimize the strategy line, this is what you can basically do. You can run a strategy with a strategy line indicator, which is what it is doing, and you can run it through the optimizer to give you those optimal results. We'll monitor that in the background while we're watching this. Now the Analytical Bar Strategy. So the previous strategy was called the Analytical Strategy. I've renamed it the Analytical Bar Strategy because we're actually using the analytical bars now to trade these strategies. We're not going to be trading the analytical strategy with the DTB bars anymore. We're going to be using the DTB Analytical Bars. So that's why I've just called them DTB Analytical Bar Strategy, just for simplicity. And break at end of day on as well. So that's how they've got to actually be set up. So it's nice and simple. I've actually put the description in there so that it's nice and simple. The Wick Trader strategies. Now the Modena Wick Trader strategies, we will still be using the DTB bars for them. So as far as the strategies go, we'll be using the DTB bars for the Wick Trader strategies, and we're using the analytical bars for all the others. Okay, so I'll quickly bring up some optimizations that I have done. Let's see. Hang on, let's bring up some optimizations. I'll start off with the analytical bar strategy. Now we can, so you bring up the optimization. Now if you remember watching one of the previous videos, I did a analytical strategy and I ran the optimization, and then I loaded playback and I ran those results on playback. So you can still do the same thing to show that the results given by the optimizer actually match the charts when you are running your optimization. So the main difference with the optimization now is we are able to optimize both the trend and reverse in one optimization. So you can select trend and reverse, the tick boxes. You can still select your setting A or setting B as you've done before. So just follow these guidelines. If you're using a bar that is not like a 1-1 or like a small bar, you don't have to go to 100. So 1 to 20, 1 to 40 will be okay. Setting B will always be 1 to 58. You can work in different ranges in there once you've got your niche of numbers that work very well for you ongoing. But it's quite simple and fast to run 1 to 58. Your tick delay is always the size. It's either 0, your tick delay, or it's the size of your baseline width in ticks, or increments of that. So if you've got an 8 baseline width in ticks, you'll either have a 0 in there or an 8, or you can put 0 in there and you can put a max of 16, which is 2 8s, and your increment is in 8s. So that's what you can basically do, and that'll just give you optimization with a tick delay. So that's one of the main things that separate the analytical 1 from the analytical 2. So you can optimize that, and you can also optimize your data series. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a box that says optimize data series. You can check that, and you can actually choose a start, a minimum value and a maximum value, and increments of that. And you've got your baseline width in ticks, and then you've got your days that you can run. So I've just chosen 18th of April up until today, which is 26, but I always keep it to the end of the week. So if you run optimization up until the end of the week, what that's going to do is it's going to optimize up until current price. So whatever trading hours template you are using, you can basically still select that. So I've just put it in a 10 to 2 trading hours template there. So if you had to go to your trading, your control center, and you go tools, trading hours, this is where you can basically set up your trading hours template. So you can select one of the default ones over there, copy it, and then create your template for your specific trading hours of the day. Really helpful. And then once you've created that trading hours template, you select it in your strategy over here, and you also apply it to your chart when you put the settings across. Max net profit, and then we can run that. So I'm just going to run this and put it aside for right now, and bring up some other optimizations that I have done. So here's an example of some optimizations I've done. This is the I'll start off with the first one. So this is the Analytical Bars Strategy 2. So same thing here. Okay, we do have an arrow count. So in the settings for the Strategy 2, we can actually choose an arrow count. So you would mostly use between 2 and 4 in here. If you're going to be using an even bar size, like a 32-32 or an 8-8 or a 16-16, then you can start from 1. So you can start from 1 and you can go up to 5. So those are the values you can put in there as your arrow count. You can just minimize some of these things. You don't have to always see these settings. You could obviously use your time slot. We're not using it for this specific one. You can optimize your stop ticks and your target ticks too. Just remember, if you do that, just use the tick boxes to use stop ticks and target ticks. Setting A and setting B, exact same as the other one. As the analytical one, you've got between 1 and 20 or 1 and 50 or 1 and 100. And B is always 1 to 58. And you can optimize both trend and reverse. So really, really good for this one. Okay. Now on this specific example, I'm just going to optimize the analytical bars 32-32 between the 18th and the 1st, and I'm actually optimizing 6:15 to 7 a.m. So 6:15 p.m. to 7 a.m., which is a really great time for me. And I can run that. So I ran this earlier, not too much earlier, just a few minutes ago, and it shows you the best results. So the good thing about this is you can run this optimizer, and as you can see, because I've selected the trading hours template in there, it's only showing that specific data. So this is basically, if you expand the chart and the bars are very big, just use the Alt button and the up arrow on your keyboard to narrow down the size of those bars. Okay, so this is basically saying that from the 18th of April up and from from 6:15 when the trading hours started up until 7 a.m. those were the trades that it entered. So if you had run this optimization on the 19th after 7 a.m., you would have seen that these settings worked very well before. So then you can apply that to the next day. You can apply those settings to the next trading day. The next trading day starts, the settings does exceptionally well. You've optimized that last day, the previous day, and days before that, and you've got settings that work, and then you apply it to the following trading day, and so on and so forth. So the idea behind this is you actually selecting your specific hours that you want to trade, and you are putting them through the analyzer. You are getting results based on what previous days have done. You're finding ones with a low drawdown, you're finding ones with high probability or profitability, and then you're applying those settings for the day ahead. So that is a very nice, simple way of doing it. And if you just hover your mouse over it, says that if you apply reverse with a 3-arrow count, setting A is 2, setting B is 17, and stop ticks and target ticks have not been selected, so they're just showing 1. If you put those settings into your chart, then you, if you did that on one of the previous days, then you would have had these results that are showing up. So it's just a good way of running optimization, not doing a lot of trades, and actually getting a high percentage profitable. So that is a good way to run it. I've done it on a few different instruments. So here is the YM. So I did a YM 3232 from the 18th to the 1st again. The same type of trading hours, and if we look at the chart on that one, very few trades, and in fact extremely few trades. Some days it didn't even take a trade, so that wouldn't have actually been very beneficial, because you would have run your optimization, you would have seen that that day did well, but the rest of the week would have had no trades. So probably not the best example to show there. The next example I ran was for the MES. So MES, I still put my values in there for the arrow count. So exactly like the previous strategy, optimizing trend and reverse, I put in a 6-6 bar to optimize on. And I ran that, and this is what the chart has given. So same thing there, you're running your optimization for the previous days, you're getting results that work for you, or that have shown very good results, and then you apply that settings, those same settings that gave results the day before to the day ahead, and if it still continues working, you apply it for the next day, and next day, and next day, and that's how we end up basically generating a decent little return on that. So just small little trades, and especially if you've got a micro account and you just want to have a return, a small return on that, you have 2 or 3 strategies running, different settings, only entering 2 or 3 trades for your specific trading hours that you want to select, and then go from there. Now the next one I wanted to really focus on, which is what you guys should really be looking at for the next week, especially while I am setting up the training videos for the analytical. I'm going to be doing more in-depth videos on that. The retracement strategy is something that is really, really exciting. So Advanced Retracement Strategy, you can run it through the optimizer as well. You've still got your stop ticks, your target ticks. I haven't used them too much because I'm finding that without using them it's even better. You're able to optimize your trend and your reverse. So I don't use stop ticks and target ticks. Okay, but what I do use on the strategy when I'm running them is a daily profit target and a daily stop loss. I'll have my daily stop loss in, you know, as an amount, and I would always match it to double the drawdown. So say for example, the best results is showing me a 200 drawdown, I would have my stop loss at 400. Just to accommodate a bit of movement in price if it did change slightly. But overall, the percentage profitable of trades over the last 18th, from the 18th over the last whole week is 71%. So I would be happy to continue those settings going forward until a better set of setting comes up, or until different settings, or until, you know, that one just starts going down the list and other ones start coming up. So again, we can look at the chart, and that's showing you the chart. So what it does, there's two ways of actually trading this. So you can obviously optimize and analyze the previous day's trade. So exactly like we did on the previous one, we've ran the optimizer, and say we're on the 19th. We're on the 19th of April. We want to see what happened on the 18th. We put the strategy through the optimizer. It tells us on the 18th that it entered all those trades. The settings will be up high on the list because it was a very profitable day. Then the next day we apply those exact same settings to the chart, and it's going to give us those results for that trading day. It's going to exit at 7 a.m. We run the optimizer again, and we see what's happened the last two trading days. We see that those results are still very high, and you continue doing that. So you continue running the optimizer and making sure that the best settings are basically what you have selected. Now, we're not always going to be picking up maybe the first day. So the first day we basically went down 30 and we kind of broke even, maybe a small loss. So the second day you're running the optimizer, you made $208 or $200 on that one day with the optimizer. The next day you run those exact same settings going ahead. A slight drop, you're running your optimizer, you're still seeing a nice rise in equity, and you just keep applying the setting that is showing up on the top of the list, or one that has got a very favorable result. You might choose one that's got slightly less trades, like even something like this, where you're showing a 88 trades instead of 102. However that works. But what I wanted to actually show you on this chart, which I thought was really, really awesome, was the actual trades. So what you can do is there's also an opportunity to scalp this. So if you look at the settings, it's telling you that you need to have a 68 bar, okay? So the period is 68. So you look on the left here, it says 68.16. So you're going to go and open up a chart of a 68.16, like a separate trading chart, and you're going to apply this strategy, and you can apply it to a sim account. Okay, so you can run the strategy during your time, your trading hours template. You can actually run the strategy on a sim account, and then you can scalp all the wicks back to the baseline. So how that will look is, say you've got the strategy running, it's currently in a buy position. So the price went up here, the strategy bought, the price is dropping. You can actually enter a manual position with an ATM on your trading chart, and you can trade the price back up to the middle of that candle, as an example. So that way you can get yourself 23 ticks. So the strategy is running on sim. You got your sim chart running at the bottom, and you got your trading chart on top. and you're basically trading in the same direction as what the strategy is running on the sim account. So again, the price moved on. You still in the strategy itself is still in a buy position. The price has moved down on a wick. You can actually go and buy. The price as it's dropping on this wick. You can actually go and buy this because the percentage profitable of the strategy is very, very high. You know that the likelihood of this going back to the baseline is extremely strong, so you can actually take 1 or 2 positions back up to that baseline and scalp all those ticks while the strategy is running on a sim account. So same thing over here. The moment the price got to here, because remember this trade entered the moment this bar formed. So at the close of this bar, this trade entered. But what happened is the price first went up, and the strategy would have been showing a losing position. You could enter anywhere on this wick at whichever values and put your ATM and your profit target back in the direction of that baseline. And that's how you can scalp the strategy on a sim account, on a live account, while watching the strategy run on a sim. So that's the cool thing about this, is if you don't want to specifically let the strategy take one position and do that, you can actually have the strategy running on a sim account with the settings and then trading those wicks. So that's what you can do. And if you run the optimization, so that was the MNQ as an example. Here is NQ. I don't think I've run that one. Which one have I done recently? I've done a few different optimizations here. This one is for the ES. Probably not the best results. We might have to modify the size of the wicks and stuff. Maybe a 2.2 or a 2.4 chart might be better. So whichever instrument you are using, go and adjust the bar sizes and optimize those bar sizes to find yourself settings that are ideal. So here's another one here. This one is trading hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So this is pretty cool. So it's only a 4-hour period. So I ran the optimization from the 18th to the 1st, which is going to take into consideration today's date. I'm going to quickly run this now and just see what it looks like. And what I'll be doing is applying that to a chart, and then we could quickly have a look at what that looks like on an actual live chart. Okay, so the optimization takes reasonably quick, especially on the advanced retracement strategy. So I would definitely be looking at that. I'm going to bring up a trading chart, just a chart, and I'll show you what. So that's the trend, the flat baseline, trending baseline. I'm just going to create another chart over here, and this one was the if I scroll, look at the settings, I must set up an NQ chart with a 162.16. Okay, so data series, a 162.16. So I'm basically using the settings from the strategy. Okay, so analytical bars 162.16. 162 and 16. Okay, and I'm going to apply the template of 10 to 2. So if I go to my drop down, I'm choosing 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I'm going to be selecting a custom range that is matching the optimizer. So you always want to match the optimizer when you are running optimization. You want to match the optimizer, so you can see your chart is getting the same settings and the same results as the optimizer is giving out. So I selected the 18th all the way. Now obviously on your trading chart you can't select the days in advance. It's only going to allow you to select the current day, but the optimizer is running from the 18th to the 1st, but what will automatically happen is it will select today's date. That is fine, we'll let it do that. Okay, so we'll just let that load for a second. And okay. Okay, so the optimizer has, so it takes about a minute or so to start working. Not every time though, but sometimes it does. But it does run very, very quickly once it starts running. Okay, so we're just going to get the latest optimized results. Okay, so let's increase that. Alright, so NQ, now if you look at the actual time, so it's 10:52 a.m., which is basically the time right now in New York. So what happens is the strategy analyzer is going to give you results right up until the current price. So that is why you always put a future date in here, the end of the week, because you want the strategy to give you the results up until the very price. And it's always going to show exit on session close because that's where the strategy analyzer has stopped running. So you're going to basically select your settings, and we're going to run this. Okay, so that's what the strategy has done today. So if we look at the actual analysis, it's actually flatlined a bit today. Okay, and gone down a bit. Let me just see. So 162.15. So the idea with this is to look at the different trades on top and find one that we are happy with using. And we want to make sure that the profitability is right there. Okay, so that is what the strategy has given us as the best results so far. So we've got a 162.16 bar, and we've got a reverse, so 162.15 reverse. So those are the settings that we need to know. Okay, so that's going to apply that to the strategy. So strategies, we're going to go and do the retracement. We've got a 15, a reverse, and a 15 retracement. Apply, okay, okay. Alright, so the mistake that I've done is in the data series. Let's just have a look what's going on there. 162.16. Okay, so those are all the trades that the strategy is entering. So I'll just increase the size of this. So right up until now, if we press the start button, it's going to start executing these trades. So those are all the trades. I've got to put break at end of day. That's where I think I went wrong over there, just to highlight those specific details. So 162.16. If I look at the optimizer again, 162.16, analytical bars, retracement of 15. Okay. So that's fine. I've got the dates, the break at end of day on. Okay, perfect. So there it's showing you that these are the current trades for the day. The first trade is basically only over here. So it's basically bought. So according to, so if I press the start button, you always have to press the start button for the strategy to actually run. It will act on the following signal. So these are trades are going back as far as the 19th of the 4th. So the 19th of the 4th at 10 o'clock. I think the strategy analyzer actually showed the 18th of the 4th. So I've got to just see what's going on over there. 19th of the 4th. And the strategy analyzer, I'm just going to bring that back up again. If I go back to the chart, 19th of the 4th. Okay, so that is right. Okay, so once you've got this set up on your screen, this is when you can go and basically minimize this chart. You can duplicate this window in a new trading window like this. So I basically right click on the tab and I went duplicate in new window. It's basically copied the exact chart that I've got with the exact same settings. And this is how now I can go and basically scalp the market. So if I choose my live account, if I choose, I haven't got my live account on this specific server, but if I go and select another trading account like the SMQ, like just a different SIM account like that, and I've got the strategy running on the bottom chart, this is where I can now go and scalp this market. So I can go choose an ATM strategy. So you can go create your ATM strategy, obviously. So if you've got no strategy, if you've got no ATM strategy here, all you need to do is go in and click on the drop down box and go custom, and then that will give you the opportunity to create a stop loss and a profit target. You can save it as a template, you can call it whatever you want to call it, press OK, and it'll be in this list. So you can basically say, once you've created your ATM like this, you can now go and enter trades on your chart in the same direction as what the strategy has entered. So as you can see on this, what you can to see where the strategy is in relation to price, you can just go into your data series and center the price on the scale, which I've got. Okay. And then that should highlight the bars, and you can actually enter positions on that wick. So because the strategy is currently in a buy position, you're not going to be doing any sells over here, you see, because the strategy is saying that the price is going to be going up. And because the strategy percentage is 87%, very high percentage likelihood that the price is going up, you're not going to be selling this wick down, even though it may come back down. So this was a manual approach that you wanted to do while the strategy is running. Other option is just to have the strategy running on your trading account and then let it run for the session. Because of its history of having a very low drawdown, very high accuracy rate, and a high net profit, that should be very effective for the session going ahead. But a great little option is if you don't want to run a strategy, you just want to catch some scalping trades, you do exactly what we did with the strategy analyzer or the optimizer. You optimize for the best settings, the best size bar, and you activate the strategy on your bottom chart like we've done, and then manually trade those wicks back up to the baseline. So I call that the baseline. I call when the price returns to this level field, I call that the baseline. So that is what you would be trading back to. So any of these deviations of price, you can trade those prices back. So that's what I wanted to show you guys with the strategies. This is a really good strategy to jump on, especially when you've optimized your trading hours that you specifically want to work. You find settings that work absolutely best for your specific trading hours, and you can either apply the strategy on that chart that you want to trade it on, or use another chart like we have created and do your scalping trades. Great, so hopefully that was informative, and I'm going to be releasing videos over the next week to go in detail regarding the other strategies that we have, and just create some videos on them so we can make sure that the individuals using those specific strategies are using them to their best capabilities, using the optimizers very effectively, and then running the strategies on their charts. Great, thank you very much. And almost an hour video, which is a lot longer than I was intending to run it for, but hopefully it has been informative, and hopefully it can create some really good consistent results for you guys. Thank you, and chat soon.